cracks in the U.S. banking system grow. 6 Capitol rioters from January insurrection have fled charges. U.S. Senate votes 68-27 to repeal Iraq War authorizations. Beaverton celebrates first Muslim American Heritage Appreciation Month. Over 130,000 Syrians sought asylum in Europe in 2022. Thousands of Afghan asylum seekers locked up in the UAE. The International Criminal Court issues the arrest warrant for Putin. The United Kingdom releases exclusive Ramadan gold bar with a Kaaba design. From Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Saamiyah Syed. Our top story tonight, 11 banks have poured $30 billion in deposits to save First Republic Bank, according to U.S. agencies on Thursday. The joint statement about the news was issued by 4 financial leaders, including Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, and Wells Fargo made a separate statement on Thursday. They said they are each making a $5 billion uninsured deposit into First Republic Bank. European Central Bank supervisors also met to tackle growing cracks in the banking system. 6 people charged in relation to the January 6, 2021 riots on the U.S. Capitol are on the run after being hit with federal charges for their involvement in the attack. Despite efforts by law enforcement, several of those identified on video footage remain at large. Others who have been identified, arrested, and are facing charges have decided to run away. It includes at least one man who has fled abroad to claim political asylum. This week, the U.S. issued arrest warrants for accused Capitol rioters Olivia Michelle Pollock and Joseph Daniel Hutchinson. While out on bail, both of them slipped their ankle monitors and escaped just days before they were supposed to go on trial. They became the 5th and 6th Capitol rioters to flee following their arrests, with 4 of those still on the loose. Over 1,000 people have been charged for their involvement in the Capitol attack. More than half of those already pleaded guilty to federal charges. The U.S. Senate on Thursday voted 68-27 to end the congressional authorizations for the Gulf and Iraq wars. President Joe Biden formally announced backing the bipartisan bill. Now, the U.S. House will have to vote on it before President Biden can sign it. The progress on finally repealing the 1991 and 2002 authorizations comes just ahead of the 20th anniversary of the war. The bill was reintroduced in February by Senators Tim Kaine and Barbara Lee and has GOP co-sponsors in both chambers. On Thursday, 19 Republican senators joined with all Democrats present to advance the measure. Former Presidents Barack Obama and Donald Trump used the 2002 authorization to justify strikes against ISIS and Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, respectively. California educators are suing Snap, TikTok, and YouTube. This is over allegations that they intentionally designed their platforms to be addictive and to deliver harmful content to children. The lawsuit was filed on Monday on behalf of the San Mateo County Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools. The suit alleges that the companies use artificial intelligence and machine learning to deliver harmful content to children. Citing a recent study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the lawsuit notes suicidal behavior and depression among youth that rose dramatically between 2011 and 2021. The complaint argues that this trend corresponds with the release and growing popularity of Snap, TikTok, and YouTube during the same period. The lawsuit seeks to curtail the conduct of TikTok, Snap, and YouTube. It also hopes to recover county schools' costs to address the youth mental crisis that these platforms allegedly caused. City councilors in Beaverton, Oregon have proclaimed the month of March as Muslim American Heritage Appreciation Month. The proclamation was a culmination of efforts by community members and City Councilor Nadia Hassan. Hassan is a Muslim American. She said she hopes the month will be a time to recognize and value Muslims in the Beaverton community. The city is hosting a series of events throughout the month to celebrate this occasion. So far this year, the United States Customs and Border Patrol has blocked nearly $500 million worth of imports from China that were entering American ports. This is because the products were made wholly or in part by Uyghur forced labor, according to the U.S. Border Patrol's acting head. The move comes as more governments clamp down on companies whose products and supply chains involve forced labor. China has detained up to 2 million Uyghur Muslims in what it calls re-education camps in the northwestern part of the country. Muslim American human rights group Justice for All has welcomed the news. Justice for All advocated for the passage of the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act of 2020, which was signed into law in June that year. It is being used to block products made with forced labor from China. A story on over 130,000 Syrians seeking asylum in Europe in 2022 comes with details after the break, so stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. The number of Arab asylum applicants in the European Union has surged last year. Data from the European Union Agency for Asylum shows that Syria, Iraq, and Morocco came at the top of 10 Arab states whose citizens applied for asylum in EU countries in 2022. But Syrians led the pack. Over 130,000 Syrians applied for asylum in Europe in 2022. This was attributed to the deteriorating political and security conditions in Syria since 2011. These requests were double the number registered in 2020, where only about 64,000 asylum seekers were registered, the lowest since 2014. 94% of Syrian asylum seekers had their requests accepted. The Human Rights Watch accused the United Arab Emirates on Wednesday of arbitrarily detaining at least 2,400 Afghan asylum seekers. It says that they are miserable accommodation for more than a year pending resettlement elsewhere. The rights group said that the makeshift refugee housing has limited freedom of movement and scarce access to legal counsel. The UAE, for its part, said it was working with U.S. counterparts to complete the resettlement purpose, but it denied reports of dire living conditions. One Afghan asylum seeker interviewed by HRW said the camp is exactly like a prison. Israeli forces on Thursday killed 4 Palestinians, including a teenager, in the occupied West Bank. It is the latest deadly raid on the city of Jenin in the northern West Bank, which Israel said targeted Palestinians. Dozens of masked, heavily armed Palestinian men fired into the air as they paraded through the streets for the funerals of the 4 dead. Mahmoud al-Sadi of the Palestinian Red Crescent in Jenin told AFP that an Israeli undercover unit stormed the city center's Abu Bakr Street. Israeli forces have launched numerous raids on Jenin and its eponymous refugee camp in recent months, targeting Palestinian militants. Since the start of the year, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has claimed the lives of 85 Palestinian adults and children, including militants and civilians. 13 Israeli adults and children, including members of the security forces and civilians, and 1 Ukrainian civilian, have been killed over the same period, according to an AFP tally based on official sources from both sides. Britain's Royal Mint, its oldest company and official maker of coins, has released a gold-minted bullion bar for Britain's Muslim community that depicts the Kaaba. The 20-gram bar was released ahead of Ramadan, which will begin next week. It was created in consultation with the Muslim Council of Wales. Abdulaziz Ahmed of the council welcomed it. Director of Precious Metals at the Royal Mint, Andrew Dickey, said, "Drawing on more than 1,100 years of minting expertise, we have applied our expert craftsmanship to create a beautiful representation of the Kaaba, the holiest place on earth for many Muslims." The bar was available for purchase at over $1,300 at the time of its initial reporting. Brazil is now seeking to expand the reach of its halal products. The country is the world's leading exporter of halal meat and poultry. The Halal Brazil project aims to reach 57 Muslim-majority countries as well as Muslim communities around the world. The project was launched by an Arab-Brazilian Chamber of Commerce and the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency, which is known as Apex Brazil. It aims to encourage food and beverage companies in Brazil to get halal certifications and export their products to the Muslim world. Among the items that could be exported by Brazilian companies are nuts, dairy products, and fruit. The International Criminal Court has issued the arrest warrants for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Warrants have also been issued by Maria Lvova-Belova, who is a member of Putin's government. News was announced in an ICC press release on Friday. Lvova-Belova is Russia's federal commissioner for children's rights. She is at the center of an alleged scheme to forcibly deport thousands of Ukrainian children to Russia. The ICC said both Putin and Lvova-Belova are allegedly responsible for the war crime of unlawful deportation and transfer of children from occupied areas of Ukraine to the Russian Federation. And that's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.